Hey friends, Ash here. Welcome back to Gents. Hope that you're doing well. It's time for another elixir, this time from Azzaro Forever Wanted Elixir. In this all gold blinged out bottle. It's gold, that means it's good and expensive. And Azzaro's been busy with this one because it looks like just about every single person on TikTok got sent this by Azzaro. So Azzaro's like, please hide my stuff, please. But they didn't even have the decency to send the full presentation. Everybody had one of these, just like a lab sample. But me, I bought mine. Where'd they go? It's good. So I ordered mine from Europe. It took about 5-6 days, I think, to get here. Really quick, all things considered. And if you're wanting to pick this one up, Fragrance Buy is supposed to have it in stock as of March 3rd, according to their website, which I will have linked in the description to this fragrance in case you want to check it out. If you're watching this way in the future, don't worry about that date, it doesn't matter anymore. So all that out of the way, let's go ahead and check out this presentation and then talk about the fragrance itself. I just realized I did not catch that correctly at all. Ta-da! So here we have the box. You have there on the front name of the house, name of the fragrance, size, and concentration. It is Azzaro Forever Wanted, and then in very small text underneath the Azzaro logo, Elixir. Or actually above the Azzaro logo and beneath the other Azzaro logo. They have Azzaro 3 times on the front of the box, just in case you don't know what the brand is. Concentration here is Parfum. I went with the 100 ml size bottle. Up top, you have the name of the fragrance once again. You have your size once again as well. On the side, it says, life is a celebration. Step into the light and enjoy the moment. It's your time to shine. Nice. I'm feeling very encouraged. I am... Thanks, Azzaro. On the back of the box, you have the barcode, you have your precautions as usual. Do not spray it in your eyeballs because that's apparently a recurring issue with fragrances. And then on the bottom, we have our batch code, 38YN4LW. And here we have the bottle, all gold from top to bottom. Now you can see through the bottom here, the glass part of the bottle, but you kind of have to put a light behind it because it's very reflective. So from far away, like this looks like you can't see through it, but you actually can. Ah, there we go. As usual, you have your little gun barrel topper. You've got Azzaro on top of the cap as well, and Azzaro down here on the bottom of the glass. We got a little sticker with the batch code, and the cap does click into place. Let's go ahead and share a couple sprays. Here we go. Ugh. Atomizer is trash. So I said this with Azzaro, the most wanted Eau de Toilette Intense. Last year's release, the atomizer on that is no good. Same thing is happening here. And if you compare to the fragrances that came out before these 2 newest ones, you can see they've actually switched up the presentation a little bit. The cap is lower on the older bottles as a different atomizer style. And also the bottle actually feels a bit heavier with the old ones. The newer ones feel lighter, just a little bit cheaper, honestly. Not a deal breaker at the end of the day. It does feel like they maybe decided to go a different direction and save a couple pennies for each bottle in terms of what they're putting in here. Slightly lighter weight, worse atomizer. What are you gonna do? So note breakdown wise, this one is very simple. 3 notes. You have raspberry off the top, cardamom in the mid, and leather in the base. And when you see that note breakdown, you may think to yourself, well, Tom Ford Tuscan leather, because leather and raspberry, but it does not smell anything like Tuscan leather. There's none of that here. So how does it smell then? How does it come across? It opens up really syrupy, sweet, zingy, fresh, and fruity. You get a lot of that raspberry off the top, and I will say the opening is ultra addictive. Like the opening here smells really, really good. So much so that when I was trying this on, my wife was following me around making multiple comments about it. And that's not something that happens very often. So the opening here, it works. And it is something that has grown on me, that opening over the past couple of days that I've been wearing this. Just a really nicely done, appealing raspberry that, yes, has some bubblegummy sweetness to it, but doesn't go too far down that path to the point that it becomes like headache inducing or overly cloying. And it also doesn't come across too youthful, you know? It doesn't come across like something that's really immature and poorly done with that raspberry, which is something that I worried about just a little bit when I saw that note breakdown initially, because there are a couple fragrances that do have raspberry in the opening that to me come across just like kind of gross. Like it starts to border into cough syrupy territory, and thankfully that doesn't happen here. There's also like this slight touch of green cardamom there off the top underneath the raspberry, like this faint waft of aromatics in the scent. But that raspberry, it don't last. It does not last long at all. Like I just spray that on my arm here, and that zingy, lively, sweet raspberry has pretty much already died away. Now, I'm not saying that all of the sweetness is gone, like there's still some sweet aspects here, but that really attention-grabbing raspberry aspect, that stuff is gone in like 3-4 minutes. And what happens is it starts to get this like slightly dusty, lightly powdery kind of undertone that starts to creep out a little bit as the leather sets in. And the leather is the star of the show here. Like, don't get it confused. Yes, the raspberry in the opening is really attention grabbing, like I said, but to be honest, unless you're spraying that on in front of somebody, they're not gonna be smelling that raspberry. Because by the time you get in your car and go somewhere or go out the front door and walk somewhere, that raspberry's gone. So yeah, if you've got your girlfriend or your wife or whoever, and you've got the fragrance and you go, okay, wait 1 second. Okay, check this out. Then they'll go, oh, yeah, that smells awesome. And then it's gone. Like I said, my wife was following me around when I first sprayed this on. Afterwards, no more raspberry. So yeah, the leather, it sets in and it's the star of the show. The leather in this fragrance is what's gonna make it or break it for you. If you like how it's done here and how it comes across, you'll love the scent because the majority of this fragrance is that leather accord. If you don't like how it's done, you're not gonna dig this because the majority of, yeah, what I just said, of the fragrance is leather. So it's a little bit dusty, a little bit powdery at first as the leather sets in, and most of the sweetness from the raspberry has dissipated, like it doesn't come through as much. And what's interesting is once that leather really takes hold, you get just a little bit of the sugar of the raspberry kind of along the edges of the leather as it dries down, but you don't have that zinginess, that kind of tartness, that really attention-grabbing feel from the raspberry. Like I said, that's only a few minutes and then gone, but you do get a little bit of residual sugar. Now the leather itself, once it becomes the most prominent note in here, to me, it's kind of a black leather. It has like a very faint, almost petrol vibe to it in the background. But don't take that as it being like hard to wear or something that's, you know, aggressive the way that the leather comes across, because it doesn't. And again, that's just me perceiving that kind of like petrol note in the undertone of the leather, the way it comes across. I would say some people won't have that reaction at all, and to them it'll just be like a smooth kind of sweet black leather. Now, the majority of the time when it comes to leathery fragrances, they can be a little bit of a difficult sell, because even scents that I think are really, really easy to wear, super appealing, like C.H. Privé from Carolina Herrera, maybe don't exactly crush it in terms of sales. And even stuff like the Ferragamo line, like all of their stuff now is leather, the entire Ferragamo lineup, and a lot of those are really easy to wear scents, but again, in terms of sales, they don't really crush, you know, compared to all the other really big scents out there. So they are taking maybe a little bit of a gamble here with this one, but they have popped it into a very familiar line that does very well in terms of sales, and they have kept it extremely wearable. And they've also slapped Elixir on the front and made it all gold to get people's attention when they're in a store. They're so smart. My initial impression with this one, first time I wore it, was it's kind of boring. It's not really doing anything super new. The opening, really nice, but it lasts like 3 minutes. The opening of this fragrance is basically for the wearer. Honestly, like when I spray this on, I get that opening and I go, oh, it smells really good. But unless somebody's right next to me, they're probably not gonna smell it, right? And I know you can say that about a ton of fragrances, but still it stands because it changes real quick. Like 3 minutes, it is something different. For me, it's not one of those gradual things. It's like, whoa, raspberry, and it's getting a little powdery now. Oh, that's weird. Oh, okay, now there's leather, a little cardamom underneath there. Oh, now it's just full on leather. Huh, okay. And I will say off a tester strip, way different. Off a tester strip, that opening lingers much longer. You get more of the green aspects that come through, kind of green cardamom. So if you go to a store and you test this, spray it on your skin. Off a tester strip, it's actually pretty different. This is one of those ones that you can't go off this. But yeah, back to what I was saying, the first time that I wore the fragrance, I was like, well, you know, it's pleasant, but the opening really grabs your attention, and then it's mainly leather. And yeah, the leather changes a little bit from the mid into the dry down, but it's leather. It's leather forward, and the way that it's done, you know, it's not really anything groundbreaking. So if you're typically afraid of leather scent profiles, you could go with this one. To be fair, there are only 3 notes, but I was still expecting more of like this warm, spicy kind of thing going on, you know, tying it in maybe a little bit with like some of these fragrances that came out before it. And I know this is the most wanted, and that's forever wanted, so it's totally different, right? Right. But I was still expecting something more along those lines. And instead, it was very much the leather is the most important thing by far. Everything else is secondary and plays a little bit of a supporting role. So it caught me off guard a little bit. And while it is very wearable, while having a little bit of like, you know, that black leather vibe to it that gives it like a slight edge, I guess you could say, I wasn't necessarily blown away. Giving it a few more wears since then, since that first wearing, I have come around to liking it a bit more, and at least it smells different than everything else that has come out this year. There's not a release that has hit the market this year that smells like this one. To be fair, there's not a release that's come out this year, at least a major designer release, that is trying to push a leather accord like this one, but you know. So for my first impressions, where would I rank this one? I like this more than the Most Wanted Eau de Toilette Intense. Obviously very different fragrances here, so do take that into consideration. It's not exactly apples to apples. But I like this more than that one. I like it less than the Most Wanted and the Most Wanted Parfum, but I do think it's a very solid, well done scent if you enjoy leather fragrances. And I really wish that opening lasts a bit longer because it really captures your attention and then switches gears on you. Not that it's necessarily a bad thing. The dry down still smells really good. It's just like, oh, what are we in for? Oh, it's gone. Okay. And I could see a lot of guys going to a store and doing this deal right here and going, oh, that's a terrible atomizer. And then going, ooh, I'll take it. Not realizing like, it's gonna change on you, dude. Not gonna smell bad, but it is gonna change on you. So there we go, the Most Wanted Forever Elixir Parfum Absolutely Intense. Autobiography Edition Chrome. Oh, what? GT, yeah. Oh, I totally forgot. Performance. Longevity is pretty good, lasts a long time. Projection actually for an Elixir Parfum, blah, blah, blah. Usually you think it's gonna be crazy powerful. It's actually a little more moderate. It lingers, it lasts a decent amount of time. And part of it could be, again, you know, the atomizer, like you're spraying this on and it's kind of wimpy, but it did not project maybe as much as I had initially anticipated. Still good enough that it gets the job done, but for me, it was not like crazy, crazy strong. Still good. Just not crazy, crazy strong. Season-wise, more fall, winter, early spring. Also could wear it spring evenings, I would say. And maybe if it's not crazy hot, you could wear it summer evenings also, as long as it's not crazy hot. I will say once that leather settles in, man, it smells good. I think this is gonna be one of those ones for a lot of people that it grows on you, because I was a little bit dismissive the very first time I wore this and it dried down, but it's like, it starts to grow on you. So there it is. As I said, you can get it from Fragrance Buy as of March 3rd. You can also order it from Europe. Let me see what I paid. $98.95. At that price point, I'm happy. I don't know whether it's gonna be at full retail, probably a lot more than that. Don't pay too much, guys. You're always happier when you pay less. Thank you guys for hanging with me. Stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves. I will talk to you again tomorrow about fragrances again tomorrow. See you guys.